Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It's Tuesday. It's that place. You know what time it is. It's time for Ashmatic Analysis with a couple bits dropping this evening as well. Ash, you well?
Yeah, brother, I'm good, man. I'm here, man. Big up to all my kings and queens in the building. Breaking news. Obviously, hearing about cash injections and that. What a time to kind of announce money coming in from the board. Like something I never thought I'd hear myself saying. At a critical time as well for the players that we're linked with. But will we spend the money?
Well, like last time, yeah?
Why do we do this? All right, brother, listen, it is what it is, man. Listen, I'm used to the pain, so I can take it.
All right, let's bring out the guests tonight. Let's get this show underway because that's what people came for. They come for us too. They come for our guests.
Yeah, trust me, I can keep quiet.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring out the first guest. Big character. Got 2 channels now. 2, not 1, 2. And making waves. And he's the Lone Ranger on the other channel. I call him the Lone Ranger because he's fighting off both Sean Savaran, Lubo, and Johnny. But he's gathering pace. He's winning them over surely. But a big shout out to Stel, who's not been on air for a while. Stel, you right? Hey, you get King's introductions on here, mate. You get King's introductions.
It's 5, you know. Still 5.
Lone Ranger. Lone. I was waiting for that. Rolling, roll. Yeah, good to be back on the Spurs Kings. Big up to Ash and Marlon as always. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I wonder why I'm here. I wonder what it could possibly be about.
Football. It's about football.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Football show. It's a football podcast.
Yeah,
I promise.
All football.
Yeah. No. Listen, big up to you both. Good to be on the Spurs Kings always, man.
Also, the next one. Actually, this one gets big props because he's been with me probably from day one. Before even Ash joined, he did shows with me back then. That's how long he's been on this. And you know, anytime I ask him for a favour, he's like, yeah, for me, no problem. So, but a big welcome. Jay, you well?
What's happening? You alright?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are things?
Yeah.
How are things on your end?
Do you know what? Stressful because we're getting the same bullshit again, aren't we? With, look, there's money to be spent. For me, I ain't buying it. And if there is money to be spent, why is it taking all summer to be spent? But obviously, we'll get into that anyway. Stel, good to see you with your headphones and our AirPods. And always good to see you, bro.
Big up, man.
And the next guy, look, he's the king of tweets, mate. You know, anytime there's something on X going on, you know his name's somewhere involved, right? Always there. He's always on Last Word on Spurs. You see him going around all the channels as well. But he's very popular. He's a popular guy. A big welcome to the one and only Billy T. You well?
Hello, guys. All good, man. All good. Like, didn't sleep last night much because all the bombs that were dropping late night, man. But yeah, still a bit hazy after all that. But good to be on. Good to see Stel. Good to see Jay. Good to see you guys. Pleasure to be on as always.
Big up,
Billy.
So let's start then. Look, we're gonna have to start with the main man himself. The whole club. So I was told a lot. The club had changed this summer. Things were gonna be different. But yeah, we're sitting here a day before the Super Cup final. One major signing into the 11. Couple other signings, but you know, were they needed at the time? What is going on at Tottenham Hotspur? Jay, I'm gonna start with you. How are you feeling about this whole summer right now?
The thing is, I want to believe that things are changing, and I've been here long enough to know that they ain't. It's frustrating. It is what it is. Obviously, of course, you see names like Eze, Savinho, and they've come from good sources. But again, we announce on Monday things happening at the weekend. All of a sudden, there's a cash injection coming out tonight. There's 2 players that we're willing to go and blow the bank on. We've known for a while someone was leaving. So it just feels like, again, either the club's had a poor structure to what the summer plans are, or genuinely they know that we're in trouble if we don't make signings. I think that Bayern Munich game is a very telling game of kind of where our current squad with the injuries is at. So for me, it's just a standard summer, isn't it, being a Tottenham fan?
Billy, bring you into it. So how are you feeling about the summer so far?
Do you know what, mate? On Sunday when we played Bayern Munich and we lost, and we just sold Son as well, I was really low. I was thinking, I can't believe we're doing this after, we've just won the European champions, we've got Champions League football, and our squad. I was looking at our squad without Son. It's seriously undercooked. And going into a massive game like tomorrow, our squad is nowhere near ready at the moment. Obviously, since then, it's been really frustrating. And since then, there were two really exciting transfers coming. But what I will say about that is we've been there before, man. We've been there so many times over the years. We've had these players dangled in front of us. And it's always the kind of players which, if we did go and sign Eze and Savinho, that's the game changers that we all want, right? But it's been countless players like Moutinho, like Bastoni when we had Conte, like Moutinho when we had AVB. Like, we never get these players over the line. So until that happens, I'm going to still feel really frustrated. I think this is a massive opportunity this summer. And when you look at the way the big five, the other five members of the big six are spending, even Man United, who lost the final, they've completely reinvigorated their front line. This is a crossroads for our football club. If we don't compete and don't spend to compete, we're going to get left behind, and we're going to find ourselves in the sort of Aston Villa, Newcastle level of club, and the other big five are going to pull away from us. So I like the sound of these rumours, but until they're anything more than rumours, we're seriously left behind at the moment, I think.
Stel, I'm going to bring you in quickly as well. How are you feeling about the summer? How, if anyone hasn't caught you already on how your feelings are, because I know you're a big one on don't paper talk, hate it. Until they're physically in that shirt, you're kind of, I don't believe anything they write because they're all writing for, just to get us to read it and get us to go crazy as we are. So how are you feeling about the whole transfer window as we speak?
So, three things. First of all, yet again, as soon as a manager mentions that transfers need to be a bit different, Ange at the end, before he got sacked, said, we need experienced players now. Whatever he may have said in the past, yes man, liar, fraud, whatever we want to call him, when he said that, that's it. See you later. Bye-bye. Every manager, when they drop some kind of line, call me manager, not coach, or call me coach, not manager, or we need to sign £70 million players, 2 or 3 every year, or whatever it may be, new furniture for the house. Soon as they talk about transfers publicly, see you later. So that's when it began. In comes Frank. It's a big step up for him. Easily wooed by Levy. Easily wooed by the job of Tottenham. All right, we've been here before. I've been here before 16 times with managers. Seen it all before. Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, in comes Frank. And Levy does the biggest PR spin he's ever done. It was great winning that trophy. The emotions and outcry at that parade. We want more. We want to win the Champions League and the Premier League. So he gaslit the whole fan base. Fans are like, wow, this is the moment. Sliding doors. We've been waiting all this time. The protests, the ranting, the explosive YouTube and podcast shows, fans going at each other. This is it. Levy's arrived.
Do you think you got bored?
I think he's testing whether he can still just dangle a carrot and get away with it. I think it's just a game, right? So he drops that line, and what does he follow up with? We re-signed Ben Davis, 35 million for Mateus Tell. I mean, oh my Lord. And that set the precedent. We got Paulinho in on a loan. Of course, had to be a loan, but I don't care. I think he's a good player. Mm-hmm. So it's all set up for everything I've ever seen before. I haven't seen anything different. That's why I never got excited. As soon as he sacked Ange, I knew what to expect. In my head, I said Frank's come in because he's going to be expected to work with this squad.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of fans think we're going to get all these amazing players. In my head, I think he's come in because he's expected to develop Odebert, Tell, Johnson, Sarr, this player, that player, get the best out of Solanke, all that stuff, which we all know won't work. Maybe there's a few that think, no, it can work. because Frank is the best coach in the world and he can develop the entire dross at Spurs. The third point is this. If we sign Savinho and Eze, that changes everything because it will be a fantastic window. By the way, I forgot they signed Kudus. We did sign Kudus. We always sign one good one like a Van der Ven or Romero. There's always one that we land. So that was the one. But if they sign Savinho and Eze, everything changes because it will be the best window we've ever had. Eze, Savinho, Paulinho, Kudus, that is a banging window. I don't care what anyone says. And the board will deserve the praise. But they need to do it every window, not this one-off. And then, okay, that's it. No more Levy out. No. Now you're doing things the right way. Keep doing it the right way. Because if you go back to your old ways, it's back to square one again. So for me, it's a sliding doors moment now. Either we're going to go big and we mean business, or you're going to see the mother of meltdowns just when you thought we'd seen them all before. If we don't get them, Ash, it's going to go off a cliff.
Listen, I'll be real. Bill, I'll be real. Listen, like you, I had a private mini crash out when we lost Son and we got battered 4-0, and they came out and they said, we're only going to get a 10 and a centre back. I lost it. I just had to stay away from social media for a bit. I had to do. I said, you know what? There's more time. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I so consumed with like football and that? I need to it's the summer. I need to go out in the sun, like experience things. You know, spend time with the family, like reconnect with myself, start doing yoga, Pilates, all of that. Kumbaya, like you know what I'm saying? I had to do all of that, bro.
It nearly chewed my head off. That's how bad it was.
Because obviously they give you it's always that glimmer. It's always that glimmer of hope where people.
Ash is going to come to Spurs wearing a kimono. Mr. Miyagi stuff.
And listen, like wax on. But listen. If they say, like, I remember, Marlon, you said this last week.
Yeah.
If Tell is the Son replacement,
God help us, man.
Listen, I don't want to go mad. I want the fans to go mad. Do you understand? I want the fans to kind of step up because I'm tired of trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure Stell's never tired, isn't it? Stell keeps pushing. Jay and Bill, they've got their organization now. They're there for it. The troops are ready. But listen, it needs to be like, you know what I mean? We don't need to ring the alarm. People should just step up because you can't eject 91 or 97 goals out the team or goal contributions, whatever you want to call it, goals and assists, whatever you want to call it. You can't exit that out the team and expect us where we finished 17th. Yeah, I know we had injuries, but you can't expect us. And we don't live in a vacuum. With those Man United, we won the cup, you know, huh? We won the.
To be fair though, I've seen that go around a lot. But to be fair, those goal contributions that everyone's talking about, I get that for multiple games. But in the final and semis, they weren't around.
No, they weren't around. Obviously,
and we did win games without them.
Making the context that Europa League, no disrespect to the teams that are in it, and the way we got to the final.
Most of them are going to be in the Champions League next year. Yeah,
Bodo Glint, like, come on, what are we doing there? Do you know what I'm trying to say? But listen, we did it. We got over the line. You're right. But now this season, we're not going to get a Bodo Glint again, are we?
We're getting a carrier bag though.
Carrier bag? Are they in the
they qualified. So we'll get them again.
We can pray for that.
There's a few teams that have qualified from last year's Europa League into the Champions League this year that we could end up facing in some shape or form.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Fair enough. But you know what I'm saying? How many teams of those are we going to play? Like, how many carrier bags are we going to get? You know, like Sainsbury's do like 30p for carrier bags nowadays, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't get so many carrier bags out.
Guys, can I quickly say, I think the club have made a big mistake allowing this information to leak out. They should have just kept it quiet, silent. And then when they knew, this is going to happen, right, go public. Paulina's coming, Eze's coming for a medical. Savinho's coming in for a medical.
Yeah.
Because then, but what they've done now, the way they've set this up, it's going to flip the fan base either into delirium or riot mode. You know, I think they've played this wrong.
But they've had to go through the front door with Palace because you have to go to Palace first to get to the player. Do you understand? Well, that's what they say, innit? I don't know if that's true. But I think
how does everyone find out about this? How does everyone seem to know?
Either way, clubs can leak it because they might want another club to come in, or if it is through the agent, the other agent can leak it. Do you know what I'm saying? To a journalist, and then that alerts the other club. Do you know what I'm saying?
because you've
So
also
it's
got
hard
to
to
put
hide the transfer these days. Even though Lange was doing things.
Why
in the
didn't
box,
that happen with Kudus and Paulina then?
yeah, I hear it because people complaining that Lang's
Yeah.
moving quietly. More obviously, Paratichi's got 5 or 6 on the spin, and people like that when we all know all the transfers are. But now he's gone in darkness. Like, I don't know.
You got to remember with Kudos and Paulinia, those clubs didn't need those replacements, their replacement targets to come in. So if say Crystal Palace now are getting so close to the season, if there's a player they go after, it's possible that player goes, hold on, where am I going to fit in if Eze's still there and Sar's still there? And actually, what they'll probably end up saying is Eze's probably walking out the door, because obviously it gives them a bit more flexibility to go to other clubs and look for a decent left wing or number 10 and a backup.
Right.
So at least then people can have that conversation, because it might be Palace that might be thinking, oh crap, we don't want to keep saying to the clubs, oh, Eze is going to go, but actually they can see that he's clearly linked. So maybe that's where the links come from. And it also gives Palace the reaction to see what they will do as fan base, like Nottingham Forest did when the whole Gibbs White thing dropped. It's possibly that it's come from the other clubs.
Yeah, and I think Stel is right though. Like, I think with the way that the fan base are now, and like me and Jay and Stel, and anyone that has been opposing the board over the last few years must be knowing that at the moment, after that weekend at the Bayern Munich game, we were getting hundreds of messages saying, what are you going to do? Is there going to be protests for the Burnley? And the fan base are right on the edge at the moment, as they should be, because it's been a really underwhelming summer. And if they don't get those transfers over the line now, I think the fans are going to be absolutely fuming. So they have to act big now. They have to go and secure those 2 signings, because even if, say, they sign Savinho and Eze doesn't, if Eze goes to Arsenal now, the club are going to be in a really bad PR disaster, I think.
So on that note, Burnley, obviously the club have acted in a certain way. Look, we've obviously got the Super Cup tomorrow, and there's, we could win it. You never know. And then Eze and Savinho could be walking through the door. What would be the reaction then to Burnley on Saturday? So you lot go ahead and just say what's going to be happening Saturday.
I think in a way we've got to be smart with this. Yep. And obviously this is a situation because in a hypothetical world, we could go and win tomorrow, Thursday announce Savinho, Friday announce Eze. The one thing we've called for and the frustration, it ain't necessarily this time Levy out. It's more so you've claimed all these things where you want us to be competing for leagues, competing for the Champions League, competing for this. The signings that are potentially coming in, they're that first step there. It's such a catch. It's just one of these things where obviously it could put CFT in a difficult situation. But for me, one window doesn't resolve the last 26 years of where the club have made so many false promises and gone, this is happening. Each summer we go through the same window. That's why so many fans are so on the fence at the moment with, is this bullshit? Is this a PR stunt? For me, I got a phone call from the police on Friday ahead of when we announced something was coming. Mm-hmm. They told me the club are fully aware that this is going on. So it could be PR. It could just genuinely be Thomas Frank's gone to Levy and said, look, my squad is not good enough. But yeah, it leaves us in a bit of an awkward situation because obviously if that does happen, we win the Super Cup, we bring these 2 signings through the door. But then on the flip side, if we lose this Super Cup heavily, still nothing by Burnley Saturday, and all of a sudden we don't say hypothetically we didn't go ahead with this protest and we said, look, okay, he's done what we've asked, but he doesn't do it. And that leaves us in a situation where we cancel Saturday. We're back where we was before the semi-final, where everybody was saying, you have to cancel, it's not right, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, a protest an hour, 2 hours before kickoff isn't going to affect Thomas Frank's first game. It's not. But Bill, if you've got anything to add to that.
Yeah, the only thing I will add to that is it's all spot on. But we were in a situation at the weekend where we were getting hundreds of messages, and I'm sure Stel was as well. Like the fan base were absolutely on their knees for some action, and there are 2 ways we could have gone down. And over summer we've been thinking, right, do we just protest at the end of a transfer window if the transfer window is not good enough? The problem with that is once you protest at the end of the transfer window, there's nowhere to go until January. Like the club are scot-free until January. Like, they can't do it. They can't go and sign a player after the transfer window.
Yeah.
So we actually just made a on-the-spot decision saying, actually, we're not going to be silent anymore. We're going to put some pressure on the board. We're going to put some pressure on the Tottenham to actually, we've got 2 or 3 weeks left of the transfer window. We can't, if we stay silent, that gives them an opportunity. Then another window. You have to wait till January to do anything. So we made the decision to do it, and then I think the fan base are fuming at the moment. They still are. There's a lot of unrest at the football club because we're at the moment where we're still getting we're undercooked going into a semi-final, and I think the big frustration for all of us is look at the way all of our rivals are spending. Like, that is putting everyone on edge, and I think rightly so. And we just want to join that. And then 2 signings like Savinho and Eze would go to do that. But I think what Stel said is really important. Like, this kind of spending has to be maintained through multiple windows, like Arsenal do, like Chelsea do, like Liverpool do. Otherwise, it's for nothing.
What would you say to people that, they're like, why would you protest if the club are actively looking for players? And like, supposing we do get a player through the window, but it's not an Eze, it's like a Harvey Elliott. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you still protest off the back of a Harvey Elliott and knowing that maybe Savinho still might be on his way, but it's not quite the Eze? Does that make sense? Do you still have the same energy, or is it depending on the player? That's what I want to know.
It's for me 100%, because you're looking at these clubs. Arsenal go out, sign Gyökeres. You look at United, front three of Mbeumo, Cunha. They're making big transfers, players that have heavy pedigree in in Premier League competitions. These are players that have improved their squad. Harvey Elliott, is he better than James Maddison? No. So he's a player that in potentially 2-3 months' time, he's going to be behind 6-7 months with Maddison's injury. For me, it's going out and getting them marquee signings as somebody that's going to improve that starting 11 for the whole season. Instead, that's a stopgap, in my opinion. That's going to do the job for a couple of months. Then it's going to be, we want Maddison playing. He's young. Don't get me wrong. If you was to say Eze and Harvey Elliott, nobody's going to be against it. But you're bringing in kids like, you look at our wing positions at the moment. We have Johnson experience and Kudus experience. The rest of the kids, we're putting a lot of faith in younger talent necessarily that hasn't had that experience yet. And obviously, I know that could be said for Savinho, but he's got Champions League experience. He's been playing under one of the best managers in the history of football. But yeah,
I think that's exactly key, Jay, is like, does the player improve the first 11? Undoubtedly. And if you go out and sign Eze and Savinho, that's 2 players that undoubtedly improve the first 11. And also you got Kudus and Palhinha. That's 4 players in one window that improve the 11. That's unheard of at Tottenham, but it shouldn't be unheard of. It's what you need to do if you want to be an elite club. So I think the key difference for me in terms of the player is, do they improve the first 11? Because we've had so many windows. Look at last summer where we signed Solanke and 3 teenagers. 1 player there improving our first 11. It's not good enough. To be an elite club, we need multiple players that improve the first 11.
Some fans, still, you're probably coming now and debate this point. Because I've heard fans say, even in the chat, say, you need to get behind the team. Having a protest first week of the new manager of the new regime could be a bad look for the players that are playing on the pitch. Also, if we're trying to attract an Eze and Eze's not over the line yet, and he's seeing mass protests, so imagine you get a massive number, hundreds or thousands of people turn up. Do you think players could be put off by that, and that could affect the club's ability to do business because it looks like a bad culture they're going into?
I don't know any protester that's gone to a protest, and I've been doing it for 6 years, 7 years, that once the whistle blows for kickoff doesn't get behind the team. I would say the diehard fans that make some of the most noise are the ones that go to the protests, that get behind the team more than not. I went to Bilbao. I saw so many hundreds of protesters from the protest in Bilbao cheering on the team to win the cup. So that's just a cheap excuse that the opposing view uses to try and belittle the fact that protests exist. I'm like that. I brush it off. In terms of players being put off by it, I think players go to clubs because they believe in the manager, they like the pay that they're going to get, and they believe that the club can win trophies. I think they're the 3 reasons club players go to clubs. I mean, last season we protested more than we've ever protested before.
I won a
that
trophy.
put anyone off. Exactly. So again, it doesn't wash with me. if there was 15, 20,000, like a proper mass, like the big kind of protest like you see Man United do, maybe Ash, maybe. But I had a big row with Sean and Sav last night about this because they were saying, what's the point of protesting? Doing it on the first game of the season's wrong. We should be getting behind the team. What I tried to explain to them is this, and I'll explain it to the audience. When you do a protest, okay, now Billy and Jay can clarify more on this because they're organising 2,000. When myself and Brian were trying to help, there was maybe 200 max that we ever got. On average, it was 80 odd. You need to put out your communications at least a week in advance so people know that there's a protest happening.
Yep.
Then that gives you a week to do socials, go on podcasts, go on YouTube channels, and ramp up the traction. If you announce, so let's say come Thursday night, we've lost the Super Cup, we haven't signed any players, right, we need to protest in 2 days' time. Good luck organising that. So this is the risk you take, though. And I was honest about it when I said it to Sav and Sean. Mm-hmm. If you don't organise early, you ain't going to have a good protest. But by going early, there's the risk. If something happens in between, win the Super Cup, sign Eze, the protest is in trouble now. It won't get the numbers, and that's my honest view. It won't get the numbers. So what do you do? Either you go early, based on what we know now, and what we know now is we haven't signed anyone else, and we're not looking that good in games, or you don't go early and you cross your fingers and pray to God we win the Super Cup and pray to God that Eze signs. There's no win here, but if you're going to do a protest, if you don't organise early, the protest won't happen at all. So it is what it is, man. That's like anything when you try and organise in advance, right? What do you do?
That's exactly right. And this protest in particular, as Jay will mention as well, for our previous protests, we've had a month of organisation, a month of promotion, a month of planning. This one's we've had a week just because of the volatility of the situation. And we're fully aware that, it could everything could change the next 3 days. It could change tomorrow if we announce Eze and Savinho. It could also, boost our numbers. If we lose the Super Cup, Eze signs for Arsenal, so Man City say we're going to keep Savinho, that'll be, it's just the fact of the situation, right, Jay? Like this one, we decided we're going to try, we're not doing a full-scale march or anything like that. We're just trying to do one that we can just push out in a week just because the transfer window has not been good enough for a club of our size, and we had to react to that.
Well, just on that, before Jay comes in, I'm trying to think of questions to kind of oppose what you guys are saying, by the way. I hope you appreciate my efforts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to say this. If you look at Newcastle, I should. I need to get him on the bus.
Where's Sean when you need him?
If you listen, if you can jump in. I was going to say, if you look at our competitors, aside of like Chelsea, Arsenal, the typical top four, innit? I would look at
Shameless.
Newcastle, for example.
Shameless.
Some people say Newcastle, they're vying for Champions League season upon season. They're more of our competitors at the moment. And Aston Villa, another team, they're more of our competitors at the moment because they're the teams that have been in the Champions League of recent. And so we need to get past those before we look at the rest of the bunch, the rest of the pack. And actually, if you look at Newcastle, they've been rejected many a times. They've had a worse season than us. Do you know what I mean? They've got obviously an ownership that has
basically want to spend the money, but they've been getting rejected left, right, and centre. How do we know Spurs are not in the same situation where behind closed doors, the stuff that hasn't gone out, that we haven't been rejected by this player, that player, this player?
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But he said,
I'll throw that back to you. Yeah, 2017. Where were we? What was we doing?
We were getting, in the title race. We were getting
Champions League final. We were there. We were one of the clubs that were there and thereabout. Why did we decline? Because the ownership didn't give the manager the tools that he needed for his job. So then that's where the conversation's got to happen of why has it taken 5 years and now all of a sudden we've dropped to that level where we're saying we should be competing with Newcastle, Aston Villa. We shouldn't be. If he had built on that squad, Kane probably would have stayed. We would have seen different things happening. We would have been going for premium tier players. Instead, the recruitment's been poor, which falls on the ownership. Whether people want to say it's Levy or not, we know he gets involved in everything.
Well, he said he gets involved because actually I think everyone kind of missed the point of what he actually said in his interview with Gary Neville, and I feel like everyone's missed the point. The last bit he said, he gets in the part in the negotiation. Now, for me, the negotiation part is the bit that takes the longest, so it's always going to fall on his head because the other bits are kind of Do you want this player? Yes or no? Is he going to come? Yes or no? Then you pass it over to Levy, and then that's the bit where he starts the negotiation. So it takes weeks. It's him that does it.
This is what I mean. So he's involved in that stage. So again, it falls on him. There's so many reasons why the club has declined as much as it has. Obviously, stadium game changer. Yeah, we're now going for kids on loan and then paying over the odds for them. It's one of these things where if, say, for example, we do go spend this money, yeah, fair enough. CFT, it's a problem for us. It's a problem we'll overcome and adapt. But if we cancelled this protest, like people are saying at the moment, I'm getting it on post. Oh, why are you protesting ahead of this game? Ultimately, we learned our lesson. We got burnt by the fire when we cancelled the last protest. This time we've made a decision. Do you know what? We can't risk fans going, you've cancelled, you've cancelled, you've cancelled. So it's one of these things where I've got a bit of, for me, my passion is I feel Levy is doing a bit of his usual tricks where he's trying to pull the wall over. He's trying to sort of dissolve the protest as much as possible. Because for me, until these players are holding the shirt, I'm still guns in to go ahead Saturday.
Jay, can I ask you something?
Sorry.
I'll ask you, Billy, Jay, both of you, right? If big if, right? Like, in fact, a 1% if we win the Super Cup and on Friday we announce Eze, are you still going to go ahead with the protest? Because I don't know if it'll work. I'm just being honest. You know me, I'll be there if it happens. I don't think it'll work if those variables kick into play.
We literally started this morning, didn't we, Jay? I literally asked that exact same question in the CFT group chat. What are we going to do if we get these signings done before Saturday?
Yeah, it's one of these things where you've got to look at it logically. If that comes up, CFT have to stand there and go, do you know what? We asked for this. Yeah, we asked for this. We can't then go, oh, let's go protest about something else, because that's not the point of what we're doing. We're trying to call for action for Tottenham. We want the fans to be...
And this specific one is literally about the transfer window. So if they address that by signing someone like Eze, who's a club player that all five of us would be over the moon if he signed, and the whole fan base would be, then I think we'd have to bite the bullet and hold our hands up and say, you know what, that's what we wanted all along. So we will react to it as the situation goes. But what I will say as well is, all of us, we've just been here so many times, man. Been here so many times and been let down at this last stage of the deal. So we'll see what happens for sure.
What would you say quickly? Sorry, before Marlon comes in. Sorry, just real quickly. Like, people would say that you guys are negative. You're bringing, a black cloud over the club's name. Just get behind the club and support. Why the protests? Do you get that type of feedback as well? By the way,
we do get a little bit, yeah, definitely. But I think, at the end of the day, what is our goal? And our goal is the same goal as every fan watching this now. It's the same fan as everyone that is involved in Tottenham. We just want an ambitious football club that gives us a football club that we can be proud of, that competes to win trophies every season. That's all we want. And if that's negative, then I can't believe anyone could call that negative. Possibly.
The same fans who say you're negative for protesting are the same fans who were screaming for Ange to be sacked because we were 17th in the league. So, if you're screaming for the manager to be sacked because we're 17th, then tell me what a great place this club apparently is in then, if you think 17th and Ange being sacked is positive things. Clearly, the club's not in a good place. Maddison's injured. We've got no number. There's no creativity in this club. Every fan watches the games at the moment, and they all say the same thing. We're not creating. We're not scoring. There's nothing up front. Tell me where the positives are in this. Where are the positives if this is negative? What's the counter to it, Ash?
I mean, people will see it and say, look, I think it's the hope that because we appeared that we're going for these players for a start, so the club's trying to address the problem areas, and by the looks of it, there seems to be, we've reminded that there's another cash injection coming in. So I think maybe there's a mood among some fans that we are going in the right direction, and then we're getting brought back down with a black cloud again with where we were last season. People don't want to be reminded of that.
Well, tell them to stop complaining about the Bayern result and about the lack of creativity every game then. Tell them to stop moaning about every single game they watch then. Tell them to stop moaning about being 17th.
And the other thing
moaning that Mikey Moore's gone on loan. Moan. Protest, you're negative. Hold on a minute, you're moaning.
The other thing I want to mention, you got to remember, what was Vinay brought in for? Who did he replace? Who did he come into? Donna Cullen. He's here for PR. He's here for fan relationships. He's very good at his job. There's a reason he has been as successful as he has. But ultimately, the interview between him and Daniel Levy, for me, give a lot away in regards to how close them two are and how they will work together. So it would be the type of thing that a club would look to do. We're fully aware. As I said, I've spoken to the club. I've spoken to Met Police who have reached out. We're fully aware the club watch everything, me, Billy, everybody involved at CFT Post, movements that we're planning, what we're doing, why we're doing it. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of the club do work with us in a lot. In that aspect, they are okay. There's been a lot of hoops that we have to jump through. But this is what I mean. We get called negative. We tried to do things the right way. We tried to cancel the last protest for the benefit of the team. We knew Kulusevski was out injured in end of April? And what plan did we have to bring somebody in so the whole weight wasn't on Maddison, who has a track record of being injured?
So that was going to be my next question. So say Morgan Gibbs-White did get over the line when it was supposed to happen, would the feelings of CFT at the moment be in a complete different situation if that had gone through? Because if you look at it, the club did try and sign somebody. It just happened to be that Marinakis got involved, and that just killed that dead in the water. And it took a couple of weeks before Gibbs-White signed that contract. But the club probably did have a plan because they did try and sign a Gibbs-White before Maddison got injured.
Yeah, but I could go to the shops looking to buy some milk. They might not have milk and pick up a milkshake instead.
But this
is what I'm saying. There's no backup plan.
But Gibbs-White, if you think about it, like in that situation, you had the milk. You've told the Tesco, I'm buying the milk, but then Tesco have taken the milk off and said, you know what, we can't give you this one. You're not going to go to Asda and go buy another milk in the process when you think you've got that one over the line.
But that's what I mean. The reports that come out after he signed that new deal was Spurs didn't meet his release clause. That's why it didn't happen. We found out what it was roughly. We never triggered the deal. So the deal was never there to be done. We said we were signing him. The reports come out. Obviously, I got excited. It was a player that I would love. But ultimately, that deal wasn't as close as what we were made out to think it was. It seems to be there was a lot of agent play in there, whether or not it was to angle a new contract at Forest or what. But that's
the question. But the question still was there. Actually, there was a plan to bring in a player because no matter if we met it or not, the plan was still for Gibbs-White to be through the door because we were all excited that week. We were.
Yeah, I think there's two ways you can look at that deal. Like, was it Tottenham going out and saying we want to get a number 10 and who's going to improve our football club, and Morgan Gibbs-White is top of the list, or was it the fact that they got offered maybe to say agent saying, well, here's a player you can get for £60 million, well below his market value. Are you interested? And and I think if it was the first option, I think as soon as that deal collapsed, there's been 2 or 3 weeks past since he signed the new deal now, we would have had another target ready to go and move on. So I'm not sure whether we were just taking advantage of a really good opportunity. And in answer to your question, I think if Morgan Gibbs-White had signed, that would be 3 players now with him, Kudus and Paulinho, that improved the first 11, and it would have been a decent transfer window, no doubt. But I think the fact that there was no backup player ready to sign shows that it was more of an opportunity rather than a plan.
Do you think that Thomas Frank specifically asked for Morgan Gibbs-White because he came out not too long ago and said how him and Langer, he said he's doing a good job, but at Brentford they had a certain process, and they were on the same song hymn sheet, if that makes sense. So he's saying Langer's not quite on the level or not quite understanding the player that he needs. And I think after Morgan Gibbs-White, that fell through. Maybe Langer was giving him options in that particular position, and he was like, yeah, but nah, you're not quite getting it. That's not the player I need. I need a player that's da-da-da-da-da-da. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's the reason why it took a bit longer, or they were waiting for that Eze. Maybe Eze was the other option, but they had to wait for it to play out because Arsenal were in, they had personal terms agreed, whatnot, if you read What You Believe or you listen to ITKs. And then when Arsenal decided that they wanted to sell players before they bought it in, and they kind of cooled their interest, then maybe Spurs kind of strategically entered that kind of move. I don't know. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I think if that is true, if Eze has always been number 2 on the list, or then that's fair enough. But I don't know.
I doubt it, but I was just throwing it out there.
It might have been. But apparently, from what I've heard, is that Tottenham didn't want to get involved in a bidding war with Arsenal, so that might be why we're now suddenly looking at Eze now that Arsenal are not trying to get involved anymore and they need to sell. But again, I think that as long as we're targeting that quality of player, I think we'll be happy because, Eze, Morgan Gibbs-White, 2 players that definitely improve the 11.
That's the point. Eze did want to play his last game on the Charity Shield. He said he wants to.
Yeah.
He wants his mind made up. No matter where he goes, he wants to know where he's.
And obviously there was the whole Europa League, Conference League thing hanging over Palace as well. And they've both just been sorted this weekend, and now we're after him. So
yeah, and we were linked because obviously Marinikas and all the rest of it. But yeah, cool.
Can I get an answer to this one about being entitled? Because obviously that's a lot of thing that's being thrown about Spurs fans completely, especially when we protest. What would be your answer to this?
There's no entitlement there. If we're protesting, we're not protesting for this 5 minutes of fame. We're not protesting for this, that. We don't get paid for this.
Back up, Marlon.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We don't protest for the fame of it. We protest because we care about the club. A lot of people go, "Oh, we don't care about you. You're so entitled." We should be entitled. We're fans. At the end of the day, we want what's best for our club. And ultimately, when you're seeing the decline of the club in the level that we have, whether you're Levy in, Levy out, surely the concern should be the improvement on the pitch. The quality is just dropping constantly. So we're not doing anything to turn around and cause aggro. As we've said, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, we're not going to berate you or call you this, call you that for not doing it. At the end of the day, everybody has their own beliefs. They're entitled to share their beliefs as well on the situation.
And what I would say on that is about the entitlement. As soon as your chairman comes out publicly and says, I want to win the league and I want to win the Champions League, then he needs to provide a team that does that. So it's not about us being entitled. It's about us being matched with a team that the chairman has come out and said publicly twice now, I want to win the league, I want to win the Champions League. Okay, we'll go and do it then. And if fans are asking for that, it's not entitlement. It's just asking to be representative of what the chairman has publicly said he's going to deliver.
Can I... This is astonishing. If you want a player, pay the asking price and you get the man. How's about that? How much is he? 80 million. Well, then they pay 8 million, get the man. If you really, really want him, that's what you do. Okay. Yes, you want to try and get a better price. I get it. But if you really, really want the player, you pay the asking price. If it's not a stupid price, if they say we want 120 million for Eze, it's like, get out of here, right? See, these comments, I've never understood whether they're trolls or real fans, right? So for the sake of your channel, I'm going to go with the fact it's a real fan. No one gives a toss about your protest. 2,000 people attended the protests last season. Every sports channel, BT, Sky, TalkSport, all talking about the protest, all covering the protest, talking about leaving Enoch more than ever before. So to say no one gives a toss, there's no evidence to back that up, but there's plenty to back up what I've just said.
And Levy even come out and said it hurt him, so there you go. And
so he gives a toss. Levy gives a toss. Right? These guys sound entitled. I'm 100% entitled because I'm a customer. When I buy a ticket, I have a CRN number, client reference number, not fan reference number, not club member number, client. So as a customer, I'm entitled to get a service that I think matches the second highest priced ticket in English football. So I'm entitled to a particular level of service to match the price that's charged. I don't get it. I don't understand. Surely everyone wants what's best for the club, and what's best is to be challenging for the league, challenging for domestic cups, signing exciting players that gives the manager the best chance of being successful, and unifying the whole club by doing that. Because if that happens, when we had Pochettino, the team was so exciting, full of talent, and a really good starting 11. The whole fan base was electric. We were united. But we've lost ourselves from that. We just want that again to say, right, at least we're knocking on the door again, right? That's not entitled. Well, it is entitled because I pay for it.
Yeah, so
entitled.
Just on that, yeah, on the entitlement. If we do get those players,
yeah,
the game changes, and the club decide to raise the price further, do you think we are still being over entitled, if that makes sense? Do we have a right to be like protest against that, or do you think it's fair that the club's allowed to raise the price after making those type of signings?
I think as long as it matches up on the pitch, if it marries up on the pitch and we start being this team that compete for regular trophies. We're always in the European spots. We're performing when we should. I mean, we've had one of the highest season tickets in the league for last 6-7 years now. Understandably, new stadium, we're paying towards that. Ultimately, if we're paying towards these season tickets that quite a few fans, myself and Billy, go regularly because we love the club, not because we want to be giving money to Enoch or we pay the money because we love the club. It's that simple. But if you're sitting there and going, right, we're going to charge fans this, there's going to be a 3% increase on this to match everything up. You've got to give a bit back to the fans, in my opinion. You can't just go, the fans have got to give to us to keep us developing our wealth, to build hotel projects. We're not seeing the money going into the club on the level that clubs earning our revenue across all leagues are putting back.
Jay, we've been paying over the odds for years, right? There's no justification to put up the prices. I've been paying for business class and I've been sitting in economy. We've been paying elite level prices and we've been getting an economy product. So to put the price up is unacceptable, Ash, because I've already been paying over the odds. And James, you're saying I'm not unifying the club. I think you misunderstood or you're deliberately not listening. I said, if we sign lots of good players for the manager, that unifies the club because the fans will get behind that because they will see the ambition. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm unifying the club. Levy is the only one with the real power to unify us. Just like when we were signing really exciting players in the first couple of years under Poch when Mitchell was the sporting director and Harry Kane came through the ranks. It was exciting times because he had exciting players across the pitch. If we're not seeing that in transfer windows, that's what creates a division because then fans start arguing, is Tell good or is he shit? Is Richarlison going to come good or is he a waste of money? What about Solanke? You sign Eze, we're not having that conversation. You sign Savinho, we're not having these conversations. We're saying, what a player, what a baller. Paulinho, experienced number 6, bring it. You know,
we didn't have those conversations with people like Ericsson and Dele Alli. There was no. You're right. You're exactly right, man.
We didn't have those.
You buy quality, you get quality,
and the fans will get on board with it. The fans are like, do you know what? Let the manager do his work.
Billy's got to go, so you said 11. But if you any last words before you leave it to the other two?
No, let's just hope that we do wake up on tomorrow, European champions, Eze and Savinho, because then at the end of the day, that's all that we all want, right? So fingers crossed.
Wait, and Billy, before you finish as well, is there a timeline? If you don't see like a certain player through the window, is there a time to think like this ain't happening?
Our current plan is to put pressure on them for the remaining of the transfer window. Yeah, definitely. So that's and then obviously if we get an undercooked transfer window, then we're looking at what we're trying to think of maybe long term is a televised game, which I think is Bournemouth in September, possibly doing an in-stadium type protest. But obviously, we'll have to see how things develop before we go into that.
Cool.
Thanks, Billy. Cheers. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Love, man.
Well, he's left. Look, let's talk about the 2 potential signings quickly and how. What do we think this is a smokescreen as Spurs fans? Look, we always get in these situations, or do we actually think this is genuinely real? Because as we've all said, the protest got announced at the weekend. Was it? Did you say at the weekend?
Yeah, Friday we announced we was doing something. Conveniently, That was midday. By 4 o'clock, I had phone calls from 1, the club, and 2, Met Police. This isn't some people that I've reached out to because obviously we hadn't even put the plan out yet.
Yeah,
you've been shoplifted again, Billy. Jay, sorry,
mate. We were asked.
Oh no, wait, the police don't come shoplifting. I'll take it back. Sorry, no.
And now they help out. So they reached out instantly. So the club reached out first, and then Met Police reached out on behalf of the club to find out location, logistics, how many we were planning to attend. So again, this does show that the club are actively keeping an eye on things. And obviously, if we can apply that tiny bit of pressure in regards for the fans, that's all we're aiming to do, is apply that bit of pressure. We know that we're not going to cause drastic, imminent change, but we could potentially help force a hand a little bit. We could potentially make the club go, do you know?
Keep them in check.
Yeah. So it's not like we're claiming that we run and make these decisions. We force the club to make decisions. We don't. We try and implement a bit of a change into maybe how the club are going to behave or act. As Levy said himself, they're aware of it. Vinay has come out and said that he's aware of the protest. He's reached out to all the groups. We speak to the trust. Bewilderingly, that they might not align with what we do, but they do agree with certain bits. So it's one of these things where it's catch-22. Don't get me wrong, if you want to hate on what we do, crack on. Ultimately, we have our beliefs, we'll stick by our beliefs.
Hey Jay, if you do speak to Vinay, say he's welcome to come on here and have a conversation.
Hold on. You know I'm not too keen on ex-Gooners. I'm quite bitter.
I'm just throwing it out there. Listen, I know it's an ex-Gooner, but listen, that aside, we get that conversation going. I'm here for it. But yeah, no, listen, I'm all up for it, man. If you're keeping the club accountable for what they've come out and said, and we're forcing their hand and we're keeping close keeping close eyes on them and making sure they deliver what they promised. I don't see that as being a negative thing in my humble
This
know
is it. And the one thing we've always pushed is we will never get to the stage of where we're making people feel like they can't attend with their families. Stell will tell you himself. We had kids at the protest. We had people that are levy in but don't agree with how things are going at the club. We managed to unify a big portion of the fan base that maybe wouldn't have attended protests. And obviously this comes from the work from you guys, being on with Stell, being on with Brian, being on with a lot of people. And obviously if you really want to look into why a lot of fans are unhappy, Connor, Levinomics, he puts it out there, and he puts it out there in the figures that people who might speak more formally towards the figures and numbers, we're going to be going there, and he can prove it. He's on a lot of shows at the moment. He obviously flies the flag quite heavily for change. So it's just one of these things. And as we said, if people don't want to attend because they don't agree, that's fine. They want to throw abuse, that's fine. We're adults. We can get past it.
So actually, my question, I wish I asked this one, what do we do about the fans that are 50-50? What is, because obviously we don't know, because look, you had 3,000 that came, but as you just said, there's people that leave you in that came, there's people that leave you out. There's probably a lot of fans that and I want to ask this question more to Stell, because it was, not El Tel Cockerell, who's the other guy? Tottenham Till I Die yesterday said he's 50-50 about the situation, but he comes to one game a year. The last thing he wants to kind of do if he's coming to a game is protest, because he's really sitting on the fence.
He wants to support the club, essentially, in his way, but essentially just go to the game, have a good day out, maybe go to the shop. But then there's the pressure, like protests. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So obviously, Stell, I'll let you come on to this in a second. But every protest we've done, we've had feedback from the club. They appreciate the fact that we have kept it family friendly. There's nothing that happens, obviously. We make sure if there's any aggro, it's dealt with. Hence why we work so closely with the police as well. The first protest, we had a guy walking down the high street holding a Levy in banner. And you think when there's so many passionate fans that are that heavily Levy out, that could be seen as confrontation. It could lead to maybe a fight. It could lead to other things. It could escalate a situation. Instead, it was dealt with amicably. And we continued. Obviously, I understand people come over for their one game a season, and you know what? Come over, enjoy it. There's a reason we all do this. We all love the club. And obviously, if you're willing to travel to make one game a year, your opinion is no more valid than somebody who goes to every single game. So it's one of these things where you have your own decision to make. We would never want somebody to feel uncomfortable because we're protesting. Ultimately, we protest for what we believe is right as such. But still, you might have a bit more on that.
Fans that are on the fence, they don't want to go to protests. Why? Because they don't think they work, or because they find it eats. By the way, big up to Football Heritage for the raid. They don't want to go to protests, or they are worried that their day out is going to be consumed by being at the protests and not in the pub, singing songs, being up with their mates, or they don't think protests work. Whatever your reason for not wanting to protest, if you're on the fence, that means there's something about the club that you're not happy with, right? You know something has to change. So my question would be this. What are you going to do about it? And I used to say this when we only got 80 odd people to the protest. I used to go across the road where people would stand there watching us. And I'd say to them, why are you watching us? What is it you're watching? And they go, you know, what are you protesting? He explained to them, like, yeah, no, I know it's Levy up, but why? I said, you tell them why. And I said to them, why don't you come over that side? And they go, well, the chairman's built a good stadium, but, you know, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. And I'd say to them, I agree. So why don't you join us to try and protest about it? And a lot of them, I think, feel a bit reluctant to do it because they're uncomfortable doing it because they feel they're going against their club. They feel like it's not Tottenham. They feel like it's not supporting Tottenham, right? And I'd say to them, but I'm doing this because I love the club. I'm doing this because I don't like what the club's doing to the fans. I'm doing this because the club should be doing so much more than just being a pure financial institution, this kind of investment bank in the football. You know, I want to see better, and they can do better. They choose not to. And I would always say to these people, if not this, if not protesting, then what? Come forward with a proposal, a plan, or an idea. And they said, what about writing to the club? I said, the trust's been doing that for years. What about you know, asking for a meeting with the board? I said, good luck. Good luck. We've got a fan advisory group. Nothing's changed. That group's changed nothing. So when it comes to the stuff we care about on the pitch, right?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, guys, it's not an easy one because you can't force people to do something. But if you're on the fence, it means something's not right with you. Something needs to change in the club. So what are you going to do about it is what I say. I just asked the question back. What are you going to do about it then? Because only the protesters seem to be doing something about it. Only the protesters, except for some fans who I know boycott games completely. They refuse to go whilst they're there. So other than that, what do we do, guys? What's the alternative?
I think you've raised a good point because I think for some people, they might see it as, and every personality is different. So they might be less confrontational. Now, you might think confrontational. How's that confrontational by going to a protest? But they might have a perception in their mind. And I know Jay's trying to do his best in terms of dispelling all the myths of a protest and how it looks. And people, everyone's involved, everyone's invited. It's a family friendly, you know, walk or march. And sometimes it's not even that. We might just stand in a certain place and kind of, you know, sing songs or whatnot. But I think the points you made, Stel, in terms of like writing a letter, for example, some people might be more behind that. But what I'm going to say to that point is, if Jay
did it,
do,
no, I'm saying
you've done letters, but what I'm saying is that and public knowledge is that do people know that you've written a letter, for example? So like, because Jay's got the good communications, and now he's got like, you know, the strong links with Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, even other social media platforms that you do promote on, you can say, guys, we've written this letter, and here's proof from like moving forward that we've written a letter. We've done it not just the marching way, but we've done the letter as well. We've done, you know, whatever other methods people are happy with. We've actually done that as well. So we are listening to you guys that maybe don't want to come to the protest, because some people are in the USA, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, wherever. You know, we've got a massive fact. It's not just within the local communities, people that might be in other parts of London, across the UK, that can't reach it. And so just communicating that, look, here's the video of the protest, so you guys see, you feel like you're a part of it. You've been heard. You see what I'm trying to say? So I think like still brings up a good point, you know, for Jay, like to kind of promote that message a bit further. If fans are unhappy with the situation and we don't get like a here we go, or we don't see Eze holding up a shirt, and you know, people are really frustrated at how the window's gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. But we have written to the club and we put our response straight onto X. We made it clear we wanted transparency in exactly what we're doing. We'll keep, as we said, we're not the trust as such. We've tried to do it that way. We've written to the club. We've shared their response. I think BBC put their response back on, they've done an article on it. So, I mean, we've tried every angle of what it is. The one that seems to get the reaction from the club where they listen is the protests. And I mean, we have people coming from all backgrounds. We have people with disabilities who, if they message us saying, look, I want to come to the protest, I always put where I'm going to be before the protest. So if people are nervous to go by themselves, they can always come up and introduce themselves to me. we're all, as we said, we're fans. We're nothing special. Even Billy, with his mega fame that he has behind him, like we're all approachable. And this is what I mean. It's people are going to have different opinions on it. Obviously, the one thing we're here to do is listen.
Be
I
a voice
think
for
if
the
anything
fans.
proves that, it was the previous protest that we cancelled. We decided to put it online and let the fans decide. The people who decided didn't get the flack. Me, Billy, Gods, Lyndon, Root, we all got the flack that come with that. And we took it on the chin and we said, you know what? Okay. We took the fans' decision. Obviously, everybody said, oh, that was international fans. They weren't fans that voted. Ultimately, we went with what the majority wanted. Whether it was right, whether it was wrong, that's what happened. We stood our ground on it. We go again. But ultimately, we do cancel this week, for example, because we win the Super Cup tomorrow. We bring in both these players. We hold our hands up and go, do you know what? The club have done exactly what we asked for, to give a manager a fighting chance. Because at the moment, it seems like Thomas Frank's going into a season with half a squad and he's going and limping. What do you do? Do you sit back and go, oh, let's wait until the end of the window when he don't get a chance? Or do we sit there and go, let's try and force a change now?
Jay, you got to also realize there's going to be people out there who are always going to go after the protest regardless, because they think the protest is damaging to the club. They think it hurts the football club, and that you're doing the club a disservice, and that you're not true Tottenham. And you know who they are, because they'll be the ones that put these little sly messages, go support Arsenal then, or F off to Man City. Those kind of characters, you're always going to get them who, you know, if you counsel, even if it's for the right reason, oh, look at this lot, no credibility. You see, oh, come on, it's embarrassing. So that's going to be part and parcel of it.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
going back to what Marlon was saying, man, on the players, that's what you were saying, right, Marlon?
Yeah, that was the original question.
Yeah, perfect answer to that is Romero come out and called it out about the board not wanting to match ambition. Kulu's done it. Son's done it. Kane left because of it. I think the players agree with what we're doing. You got to remember, they're paid by the club. They can't sit there themselves and go, oh yeah, this is having a positive or negative impact. Ultimately, I think they want to surround themselves with world-class players. I dare say a lot of them are competitive in the front of bringing in healthy competitions, good for the players. And obviously seeing the fans unhappy, and this does link down to what you were saying about potential players that could be coming in. The one thing players probably come in for is passionate fans. You don't want to go to a game where you're going to have fans that are dead quiet. If you've got fans that might protest before a game, but then create an atmosphere like we did against Bodo, do you not think a player's going to look at that and go, wow, do you know what? How passionate them fans are. I want to be involved in them.
Hey, you know what's funny? Like, and I actually believe this. This is my personal opinion. I think players like Kulusevski, players like Romero, Porro, Bentancur, they won't sign deals, in my opinion, unless they're playing at the elite level, which means Champions League year in, year out. And to get to the Champions League, in my opinion, you need to have players that are going to push you for your place and players that you know that are going to elevate the club. So when you've got those players coming in, Romero is more likely, if people like Romero, or if they like Bentancur, or if you like Porro, I'm sure everyone likes Porro here, they're more likely to sign the extension of league, because Porro's got what? Next season, he's got two years left on his contract. And we know Real Madrid are coming sniffing around because you know they like those type of players. I know some of their scouts looked at Porro when they was playing in a friendly at Spain. So we know these players are being looked at all the time. So at the same time, we talk about as fans, we want the right type of players. You're right. Some of the players that are playing at the club, they want to be playing at a certain level if they're at least competing for the cups. And to get those players in, you need to have, to make those players sign a contract, in my opinion, you need to have players that, you know, they recognize and they rate, not just players that may come good in the future, that are 20 years old, 19 years old, and they have great ceilings or great potential, which is all good. I'm not against the potentials and the ceilings and the 20-year-olds and 21s. If you've got ability, you've got ability. But it needs to be supplemented with, like Danny Rose said, not a player that you have to Google. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
This is it.
And
That's what I mean.
Quick
it's one of
one
these
as well.
things where if you think, hypothetically, we lose the Europa League, we'd lost that. How many of our more premium tier players do you think are going to be going, do you know what, I want to stay there? Finish 17th, we wouldn't have had European football. we don't exactly have the pedigree to say next season we are going to be back at the top within the title mix or going about. It's one of these things where we're, as I said, we do it for the reason of we want better on the field. We want to be going there and watching. And obviously, like this comment here, protesting is bad vibes. It is bad vibes, but it's not bad vibes where we take it into the stadium and make it ugly and make it hostile and we sort of dig out fans.
Quick question on that, quickly, because
bad vibes. Sorry, bad vibes. Bad vibes for who?
Can I ask a question? Every protest that you guys have had,
bad vibes for
this is
who?
what I'm going to ask a question. Every protest that you've had, have Spurs won all of those games?
Every single game.
Okay.
Including the game against Manchester United where Kulu and Maddison come across clapping the fans. Every player plays with a smile on their face. As we said, even the Leicester game where we got the banners into the Leicester game as a surprise. Players didn't react to that. And the reason they didn't react to that is because they're professionals. And ultimately, I think that they know for a reason it might come across as negative. We're wanting what's best for the players. We're wanting what's best for the team. And if the ownership could turn around and go, do you know what? Putting that extra bit of cash into this or doing a bit extra there, if that's going to, you think if they build a squad, more money is going to be spent by fans wanting to come see these players. More money is going to be.
At the protest, sorry, no one was chanting, we want Kulu out, we want Maddison out. Even Ange, who's having a stinker, no one was saying, get Ange out of our club. The chants were clear. We want Levy out, get out of our club.
This
the
is
protest, banners, scarves. The protest was 100% directed to the ownership and the way it's running the club. Not once did we turn on the team or the players. And like I said, as soon as we're in that stadium, we're behind that team. We back them. And like I said earlier, when I went to Bilbao, so many of the protesters are in the terraces cheering on the team. So it's not going to affect the players because the players look at it. They don't see their names or see their names being protested about. They know we're not happy with the board not signing players to make your squad better that you play in. They're not stupid. They know that.
I got a question then for you both, and probably for Ash as well. Do other clubs look at Spurs and go, do you know what? That is how I want my football club to be run? Or do you think they look at us and go, ha, Daniel Levy, we know what he's about?
Both.
From a player side or a fan side?
Fan side.
From fan side, it's very...
Because you get a lot of people going...
Depends which club you are, Marlon.
Yeah,
Depends what club
this is my question. Look, let's take the top six out of it, right? Let's take them completely out of it. Let's take everyone else that we get told who we should be competing against. So that's the Villas, the Newcastles. I'm including Newcastle in this. I know Newcastle ain't going to want to arch him, but the Brightons, and then you go down to Forest, and you go down to Leeds, and everyone like that. Let's take them, and the Southamptons that were here last year. Do you think a lot of them would take what we've been going on with for the last 25 years, or do you think they'd be in this going, no, I don't know what you guys are complaining about?
If they had our revenue stream of the last 10 years, you look at it from a financial point, and obviously this is where Connor comes into his own. You have 14 or 15 non-footballing events at the stadium that generates a lot of money. You have the NFL, they're looking at signing a pre-contract, so there's a team that will play here over the summer whilst we're not playing. Fantastic things for the club, but then you look at the recruitment and the way we've spent money, a lot of fans will be demanding better. Everybody will be demanding better because you're seeing the money in as such. And then you also see the side of things where Levy says, I'm passionate, I want to do these things. And you want to believe somebody who is in control of the thing that you love, they want the best thing for the club. So as I've said, if all of a sudden we do get these 2 deals across the line, I'll hold my hands up. But for me, it's not about one summer. It's about the consistency of improving it. So the other clubs will be in the same boat where they want better each season, especially when they see the revenue money that comes in.
Do you think also, just on the 2 transfers, looking at the 2 players that they are, do you think there was any chance that they could have come in earlier? Or do you think this is a reaction to how the transfer window's gone?
I think Eze, certainly it makes it a bit more difficult because obviously Maddison picked up the injury. I think without him, I think replacing Son would have been the priority over a creative player. So I think that is more the timing's right for the club, which that's not necessarily a bad thing. Of course, as a fan, I would have wanted it earlier. But when you've just lost your only theoretically creative player that you have, you're going to be saying, right, we need to move on that position. I think fair play to Thomas Frank. He come out and he said we're lacking creativity in the middle. As for Savinho, whether or not he was a priority target, again, we knew Son was leaving by reports coming out, I think, in February time, that it was potentially going to be his last season. You're talking you've got to look to replace 30 goals and assists a season in all comps. So I feel like the recruitment there could have been a bit better. It could have been a bit more thought out and gone, right, if Son's going, we need to have a look at this. Obviously, Johnson's not been the strongest player in the right wing position, even though he's been clinical in front of goal, and ultimately his goals what give us the trophy. Yeah, it's just one of these things where it's so hard to gauge exactly what Spurs were planning this summer.
Still.
So what was the question, Marlon?
So I asked the question of, if Savinho and Eze were to come and say those are the two players, was there any chance we could have had them a lot earlier in the window compared to having them so late when the season's about to start?
Yeah, absolutely. If you know your list of targets from before you... One thing I've never understood, okay, as the season comes to an end, surely you're beginning to look at next season and put plans in place, ready to attack the market as quickly as possible, have your manager in place, know what players you want to get rid of, know what players whose contracts might be expiring, what youngsters you're going to loan out, what players you might bring back from loan, what players you want to sign. Surely a club that's run properly says, right, this is like Liverpool. You look at the way Liverpool tap the market. That's a club that had a plan. You think they've got a plan. They really know what they're doing. Whereas you look at us and it's almost like we make it up as we go along. You don't know what to think of it.
But Liverpool fans would have said that last year, though, still. If you look at Liverpool's title, well, not title transfer, but if you look at their transfer window last year, a lot of Liverpool fans were complaining and going, we've just got a new manager through the door and the only player you've signed is Chiesa.
Yeah.
He's inherited an elite squad, isn't he?
But but Liverpool fans weren't to know that because they saw Klopp as the...
Marlon, no one forced... Let's have it right.
Yeah.
No one foresaw Man City having the mother of drop-offs and Arsenal bottling it again.
We also
that's what happened.
Bottling again. We created that.
They bottled it again. and that really is what got Liverpool to the title in the end. Man City's collapse and Liverpool choking did it. Plus, Arsenal not signing a striker was the biggest regret that club's probably ever made. They should have done it last year when they had a real chance of winning the league because they've been waiting for City to drop off. City drop off, and it's Liverpool who took advantage. So I think Liverpool got a bit fortunate. Plus, Arne Slot is a top manager. I said it. I did a video on We Are Tottenham TV. I wanted him 2 years ago.
I know you did.
But,
but
this season, right? This season, the big Champions League. We're going to win this. We're going to do that. It doesn't look like we've got a plan. It just looks like we're just randomly, right, who else can we find? Who else is available now? What about this? What about... It doesn't feel... Listen, it might work out for us. If we get Savinho and Eze, no one's going to give a shit whether there was a plan or not because it's ended up quite good. But if we don't get them, it's a lack of planning. It's a lack of strategic, forward thinking and giving our manager the best chance he's got to be successful. You can't say you want to win the Champions League, man, and then you play one of the Champions League favourites and get absolutely dunked on left, right and centre. They were toying with us. Kane missed a penalty, man. If he scores that, we could have gone in 4-0 at half-time, right? So you look at that and you think, Levy, you want to be beating teams like that? Are you looking at what we've got on the pitch? Are you? Even if Maddison was fit, we're way off the mark. So where's the plan for this big charge to win the biggest trophies in football? And I think, as a fan, that's how I look at it, guys. So yeah, we could have got them earlier, but I just don't think there was a plan, Marlon. I honestly don't think Spurs... Do you remember a couple of years ago, we got told we're going to have this brilliant analytics-driven model. We're going to identify these players using data analysis and strategic, integral algorithms and computer science. Okay, great. Where is it? Show me. Right? They're still...
They've
never had to recruit people to do that stuff properly.
Yeah.
Or it was another let's
To
put
be
something
fair,
out there. Fans think we're doing something good again.
to be fair, they probably have signed players off the data-driven model, but I've always been the thing to go, okay, yeah, you can buy players off the data-driven model, but they've got to sort the manager as well that you're bringing in. So they've bought all them players last year, them young players, but are they the right man? Are they the right players for Ange? Probably not. Are they the right manager for Frank? We'll wait and see. But that's probably the route they have gone down. But as David Pleat said, sometimes you do need the ready-made players. It needs a mix of both.
That's what I think. I agree with that point. Do you know what's mad? I think like so a lot
You
of
ain't winning major trophies with a bunch of kids, man.
There's been a lot.
Alan Hansen days are long gone.
So
yeah, but what you need to make, but everyone always says that Manchester United squad that had the kids didn't just have kids. Everyone forgets that they had elite level kids. players.
Brian Giggs.
But they had senior players that were around them that could bring them through. They had big players.
They had Bruce, Pallister, Schmeichel, Keane.
And that's the sort. They had big players that were able to bring them through as well. Because
Dennis Irwin.
If they'd have come through,
Andre Kanchelskis, what a winger he was.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because it's mad. For example, when we got linked with Doué, for example, was that data led? Because obviously he's ripping it up at PSG right now. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So there are players, even like Nusa. He's at RB Leipzig, I think. He was doing bits and whatnot. So are there some players that are data led that maybe we're just not getting over the line, or the manager doesn't want? For example, another player, if I can think off the top of my head, would be
from Genk.
Yeah, so Al-Kalouche at the moment, we've been looking at him for a while. Ekatike was one player that we were looking at for a while as well. I know Newcastle were in way before because they were looking at him from Isak days before they got Isak, but we were looking at Ekatike at one point. So these are players that we don't know if the manager said no to. Do you know what I mean? Apparently managers have said no to Eze's. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it's a mixture of like the director of football might have wanted to bring that seniority in and bring in a data-led player, but for whatever reason, either the board haven't sanctioned it because they've been moving too slow. Like for example, Turkey's a wicked example.
Ash, make excuses, man.
No, I'm just saying. I've got to throw it out there. Listen, Turkey, for example, like most people don't know, innit? We were looking at Turkey. Do you understand? But look, here's what I back you still. Like, for example, Levy didn't want to pay the buy-on, not buy-on clause. They wanted to add on a buy-on fee. So a sell-on fee, essentially. So the 25% sell-on fee would have gone to Leon. Levy was like, fuck off. I don't want to give you that. If I sell the player, I want full rights to him. Do you know what I'm saying? I want to spend that money. Like, I want to be able to sell it to Real Madrid and get the full P. Do you understand? So it's those little things there that could be blocking us. Like Lange might have identified the Turkey for Ange, and you know what I'm saying? And then Levy's gonna mess it up. And equally, there's other players, like I said, like maybe Eze was brought to the table and Ange was like, no, I don't want Eze. Do you know what I mean? Bring me Conor Gallagher. I want Conor Gallagher.
What? You ran it for 2 years.
Yeah, you've got the flip side of that as well. You look at Vuskovic.
Yeah. Ange wanted Werner, not Eze.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro. So
come on, man.
So that's what I'm saying. There's two sides to this. That's what I'm saying to you, bro.
You know this is mental. Listen. You're the club. You're the club. I'm going to get you now. You're the club.
Yeah.
This is your model. This is your system and processes that you're going to follow, and the manager needs to collaborate with this system and process. Your system and process identifies Cherki, Doué, all these players.
Gittins as well. Gittins, go on.
Right. Go in early and get these players. Run your analysis early, and as soon as the window opens...
That's what I'm asking. Is it the club or is it Lange? Or is it Ange? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Who? Okay.
It could be.
Who employed Lange? Who employed Lange? Who employed Ange?
No, I agree. I agree.
Because Ash, if this was a one-off, right? If this was a one-off, if this was like, come on, man, Lange isn't good, and come on, Ange isn't good. Fair enough. Let's say they're not good. Hitchin's not good enough. Kamoli's not good enough. Mitchell's not good enough. Conte wasn't good enough. Jose was rejecting these top players. It's almost like every manager, every football director. This is my CV. Yeah, we'll have you to work for us. They come to Spurs, and it's like their CV was a pack of lies. At some point, at some point, we've got to look at it and say, right, why does it always go wrong, regardless of who the manager is, who the football director is, whether it's data-driven, scouting, project youth, project experience, whatever the system, process, project is, it always seems to fail. Why? And for me, Ash, it's because if you were to sit down with the board and say, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
I bet you there's no five-year plan for footballing success. Maybe they're writing one now, right? I'm going to give them a bit of leeway. Maybe they're writing one now, but I sure can't see it yet.
Yeah, no doubt. Plan. Fingers on them. Do you know what I'm saying? But what I was asking is, are you saying then Lang's not the problem? It's more the board.
It's all of them. I
It's all
think
of them.
personally for me,
Yeah,
it's
but
all of
I'm
them.
saying if there was one culprit, like because
Jay, you do this bit. I know you're going to say.
I'm trying to do a podcast, guys. I'm trying to do a podcast here. So,
Are you?
a format, you can't be all of them. You have to point a
Why
finger.
not? Why not? They're all cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, but it's too easy. It's too
But
easy.
Ash, I get what
You asked me on your podcast because I'm your mate. You ask Jay because he's your mate and he's changed for Tottenham, right?
Yeah.
You ain't employing no strangers to come on your podcast, are you?
But no,
We got him.
honestly, yeah. You want to say who does it point a finger to? Yeah, all of them have their
You
own.
see my point, though.
Yeah,
It's a mates club. It's a mates club.
Of course.
Go on.
Sorry,
Go
Jay.
on,
Sorry.
go on.
Yeah. So all of them have their own incompetencies in certain departments. I think we all agree on that. Yeah, but you sit four of them in a room and ask them to point a finger. I guarantee they each point at each other. Nobody's going to point at one individual and go, they're doing it wrong, because ultimately you've got Levy, who I dare say would say he has the final yes or no. He has the nod. You have Lange.
They're not going to point at Levy, are they? They're not going to point at Levy. Not their boss is like sitting there.
Lange seems to sit in a room watching what's unfolding and thinking, shit, am I employed to be doing something here, or am I just being paid to sit at home? But then you have a flip side of that where Lange can go get a talent like Lucas Bergwall. You have to give the balance of that. So if you have to say which one of them is at fault, they all are, because it seems to be none of them trust the process that they all believe is correct. It always seems to be there has to be a flip side to if one's going to believe it, another doesn't. And like you look at, I see the comment, who was behind allowing Cardozo to go? So we give Lo Celso to a team and say, right, this player is not really going to come to us. We're going to move him on.
All right. So hear me out respectfully. Like, Paratici had to work underneath these constraints. But if you look at the Europa Cup final, about 70% or 60% of those players were from Paratici. Do you know what I'm saying? He knew that Levy was going to give him this type of budget. Levy knew that Levy was going to give him X amount of time. So he had to be, in his wisdom, in his foresight, he's like, listen, I'm going to have to get a Pape Sarr, but with a Pape Sarr, I'm going to have to quickly find a Bentancur and a Kulusevski, who's not quite the elite level, but I can do a business with Juventus and and see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%.
He's still doing the job. Like, and now lots of fans are looking at Lang. The reason why I'm asking this is because lots of fans are looking at Lange or Langa, whatever you want to call it, sideways, like he's not good enough to be our sporting director. So that's the reason why I was asking. Like, who I know, like Levy's got about 60% of the blame, but who else, if you take out of Levy, like, would you proportion that blame to? Would you proportion some of that blame?
Yeah, but on that question, you asked the question earlier. You said we've been linked with this player, this player, this player. All players have gone to other clubs and done well in Europe.
Yes.
So is Lange actually
PSG being a big example? PSG being a massive example.
Is Lange actually pointing these players out to the club? But yet, when it comes to negotiating the deal, as he said in his in the overlap with Thing, he's the one who does the final bit of the negotiation. That's the bit where he gets involved. Is that where it's falling down?
This is what I'm asking. This is what I'm getting to the bottom of.
Because we're going to blame Lange for everything, but because I know that's what people do. Everyone blames Lange for this, that, and the other. How do we know what he's bringing to the table?
He works in the darkness. He works in silence. So we
don't know what he's bringing to the table. We just know we've been linked with all these young players, and it seems to be the young players that we've brought through the door are the ones that Daniel Levy's have been able to get a deal for, or a deal that he thinks was worth it. Archie Gray, I still don't get. That's the one that just baffles me. Because
that was impulse on a deal collapsing with Brentford. Yeah, I'll be 100% adamant we see an opportunity there for an England under-21s player who's...
Yeah, but everyone likes to blame Lange, but we could probably been linked with so many players who have been good across Europe. We just haven't got it through the door. So where
It's
do we go
Levy,
from
guys.
here?
It's Levy. It's all Levy. It is Levy.
Go around in circles, guys. Stop the show.
Stop the show. Leave it done. Let's
Look,
talk about top five.
if you want to if you want to draw the buck at the end of one, see, this is what I always try and tell Sean when me and Sean have these conversations, and he just goes off on tangents with me. I just have to bring him back. And I'll say exactly what I said to Sean. This chairman has been in charge for 25 years, longer than any other Premier League club has had an ownership for. This man's had more time than anybody else to put in place the systems and processes to deliver footballing success. Your job as a business owner is to create systems and processes that employ people to do the work in the systems and processes you've created. Sales, marketing, logistics, legal, operations, and in our case, what we're talking about, the football aspect. Let's call it footballing operations. He's nailed it in every aspect. Marketing, on point. Finances, on point. Legal, on point. Sales, on point. When it comes to football operations, in 25 years, everything he's tried hasn't worked. It simply hasn't worked because he doesn't get it. He's not that footballing guy. His brain gets sales. It understands marketing. It understands finances. It understands everything else. But from the footballing aspect, he simply doesn't get it, guys. And he's had 25 years to get it right. And then what I get told is, oh, but we're not Man City, we're not Chelsea. And I said, right. So we can't compete with those clubs. We can't compete with Juventus, Bayern Munich. I agree. So what you've got to do is say, we've got to do it a different way. 25 years, build a network of scouts across the world, build an academy with elite level coaching, elite level scouting, build a different way, what some people call, what Brighton have tried to do. Do what Brighton have tried to do, but on crack, because you've got the resources and the money.
Level. Do it to the Dortmund level.
Dortmund, yeah.
Ash, spot on. Make us the
Yeah.
Dortmund of England. I love that. Make us the Dortmund of England. He's failed to do it. He's simply failed to get that right. So at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. Lange has got constraints. Paratici's got constraints. The scouts have got constraints. Everyone's got constraints. So you've got to do it a slightly different way, the Dortmund way. Let's call it the Dortmund way, like you said. He can't even do that. So at the end of the day, for me, it is on Levy. 25 years, and you can't get a system or processing that functions. Frank's come in, guys. Frank's come in, and what he said something last week. There was a news story breaking that.
Yeah, about Brentford, how they do things different.
He basically told the club, "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" I've never heard a manager say that before.
Yeah, but that's always going to come back with change, because we are changing every 5 minutes. He's ripping up one process, because look, 2 years ago when Ange came in, we were told
he doesn't get it, Marlon. That's why he doesn't get it.
The new way of working, and then he's had to rip that up because we finished 17th.
I just want to quickly go back to a point you made in terms of comparing us to City and whatnot, and saying we have to operate a little bit different. Do you think that's the reason why we move a little bit later in the window, because we don't want to go into a price war? Is that right? Is that the right terminology? Price war. We don't want to go to a bidding war with the bigger clubs, because we know that we'll get, when it comes down to fees, we might be able to match them, but ultimately what happened to Newcastle will happen to us. Well, they will choose a different project.
Nobody wanted Romero. None of those clubs wanted Romero. None of those clubs wanted Mickey van der Ven. We signed 2 gems. Nobody wanted Heung-min Son. Nobody wanted Berbatov. That's operating different. You identify the talent.
Man United wanted him, but I think Ferguson actually told him, I've heard this somewhere, told him to go to Spurs first and he'll sign him later.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's a convenient story, isn't it?
Cheeky.
You get my point. Right?
No,
listen,
but he did, yeah. He did. That was.
He got his way. He got his way, right?
Yeah.
He got his way.
But you're right, because Son and all that wasn't. Yeah, you got to operate in that.
Isn't that what Dortmund do? They go for players that the other big clubs aren't going for. But actually, do you know what? What a player!
Yeah,
what a player
quality
you've just
players.
signed.
And they sell them for
Do
record,
that.
for
Don't
record
go
fees.
toe to toe. Don't. Obviously, Eze's different. Ash.
Of course.
And if we get him brilliant, if not, okay, he went to Arsenal. At least we gave it a go. But most players we should be going for should be the Van de Ven, Romero-esque levels,
But
because we don't have to compete with the other top five.
But would Spurs fans have gone mad in January when Crystal Palace signed Adam Wharton and gone, why are you signing a player at the Championship? Because that's what us fans do.
No, because we done extensive research on him, and we actually went for him and decided against going for him. So again, this comes back to the point we were talking about 15 minutes ago. Who is making these decisions? If somebody's scouting a player and you've employed somebody to do this role, if they're giving you the feedback, why are you not pulling the trigger? And again, it comes down to a business idea, doesn't it? It's what model are we operating off? What's the long-term plan? You look at Vuskovic, we signed him 2 years ago. We beat City and we beat Bayern Munich to his signature. You look at Bergvall, we went in against Barcelona. There's something there that's made them pull the trigger. But Ash, you were saying, we don't bid early in the window. If you go in early and offer a club, we went to Palace and instantly went, do you know what, we're triggering his RC, we're going to give you what you want, terms you want, we get that player. Whereas you leave it this late in the window, we leave an opportunity for other clubs to go, do you know what, we need these players, or we've watched our pre-season and gone, this is a problem area that we need to improve. We're more likely to get dragged into a bidding war now at this stage in a window than we are right at the start. If you go out and do what Liverpool did, blitz the market. If you go out and do what Chelsea did, these are our target players. It's, again, this is where the forward planning and what plan did Tottenham approach this summer window with.
I think it's to do with the release clauses, why we moved a bit slower for Eze. Obviously, we tried to trigger Morgan Gibbs-White straight away, and that was a shock that the club was moving a little bit spicy in terms of we've never done this before. Wow, 2 players at the same what?
Yeah.
Mad. Do you know what I'm saying? I couldn't believe it. I was like, this ain't my Tottenham I support. I don't know this club. I just saw snowflakes everywhere. Do you understand?
No, you did. Maybe I tried to keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah, they pulled me back. Don't worry, they pulled me back.
Is that when you stopped doing your yoga?
Well, I'm about to do the hot yoga, man. But listen, I don't know. Like maybe the Eze one, they were trying to see if they could wait until it's closer to that release clause, because we know that ends on the 15th of August, right? And I think that's this Friday. So maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as an alternative opinion. Do you know what I mean?
See, this is what I mean. But again, none of us know the logistics of this business. None of us really know the logistics of contracts. I think if anything proves, nobody knew their arsehole from their ear roll when it comes to Morgan Gibbs-White, because nobody knew what was happening with that. I remember listening to Marlon going on a pod after being up, saying about the Kudus and the Gibbs-White. He didn't recognise his club. But this is the thing. This is how we should be feeling as fans. We should be getting excited by these. But ultimately, over the years, we've seen this kind of whirlwind storm that we're in for this player or we're in for that player. And ultimately, we end up going for the third, fourth choice. So, yeah.
Marlon, shall I show the video or not bother?
Show the video, and then we can talk about the final tomorrow. We'll end in that, so we don't keep it away too long.
I wasn't sure if I should show the video, but it's. I know Stella hates this, but obviously it's on a player that we're linked with. Savinho. I've even got him on a sweatshirt.
Why do I hate this?
Huh? No, because obviously.
Stella loves your bits, Ash. Don't worry, hates everyone else.
No. But obviously, we haven't signed a player yet, and sometimes we're showing players that would be good for the club. But this is a player.
Oh, yeah. Right, I see what you're getting at. Okay.
Yeah, because you're like,
a bit slow. I was a bit slow there.
I love that player. Why have you got to show me him? We'll never sign him in it, and it's just like,
yeah.
But me, I got
coming now. He ain't coming. He ain't coming.
I don't know if I'm jinxing it as well by doing this video, but it's just content, guys. This is content. I'm contenting right now, isn't it? Get it? So Savinho, we all know about him. We've all probably seen the clips about him. But I just want to talk about him a bit. Left-footed, forwards, midfielder, attacking, winger, whatever you want to call him. 5'9.5". He's quite short, but he's nippy. He's played at Brazil for every level thinkable. So under 15s, 16s, 19s, 21s to the senior squad. He's been there. 40,000 a week. I'm not going to say anything about that. But yeah, apparently we're looking to double his wages. So, but yeah, typical that he's like one of the lowest wages. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's just an observation. But yeah, 21 years old. And as I said before, the positions he can play, The most positions he's played in is the left wing, and he's played that predominantly at Girona, where he's had the most games at Girona at a left wing position. Man City, he's played on the right wing, and also at the club in Brazil where he started at, he also played on the right wing as well. Attacking midfield, he's played in centre forward. The point I'm making, he is fluid in multiple positions, and that's why maybe the club will look at this type of player. It suits that we have a player that can fit in this mold. 11 goals from the left wing, 4 goals on the right wing, 15 assists on the left wing, 8 assists on the right wing. So make of that what you will. Just the next point is a statistics on his map. You can see his standouts are his expected assists and his actual dribbles completed. Progressive carries as well are really high, really strong. Carries into the penalty area. That's something I'm really looking at, because as good as Kudus is, he, for me, needs more touches in the box, and then he'll be more effective. But I'm sure Frank will coach that and work on that and identify that. But yeah, that's something that stands out to me from this particular player. And this is from the Extra Inch, this particular pie graph. You see that he plays in a 4-2-3-1. Sorry, yeah, a 4-3-2-1, yep. And Doku played on the left and Savinho played on the right in City. And the reason why that is because Doku was terrible on the right. So they had to put Savinho on that left-hand side. And also Pep wanted to make him cut onto his left foot from that right-hand side to score. Just to go a little bit further, his heat map for Man City, as you can see, predominantly on that right-hand side, into the box, and a little bit on the left. And when he did play on that left, he did assist Haaland 2 or 3 times. But there was this heat map in Girona. You can see heavily on the left-hand side. I won't go and bore you about the stats anymore because I spoke about that already. But here is some of his minutes, really low compared to his competition. Rafinha, Lookman, I put in there, Garnacho. But he stacks up well. Shots on target and shots volume are not enough. But here's some of his goals. I've circled him here, breaking him to the box from the left-hand side. He cuts and shoots across the box. Here he's running through central, going across to the left. And again, he shoots across with his left foot. He cuts inside, on from the right-hand side. Lovely finish, top corner. Nice swerve, nice dip, nice curl on it. So he's got a different type of finish there. Here he stands his man up, uses his laces and puts it past the goalkeeper. Keeper should be saving it there, but there's a top finish, central area, top corner. Here he flicks over the player, hits it onto the crossbar, doesn't quite finish it there. But again, links up play, gets into the box, great finish. And again, he lacks that far corner when he shoots, when he's hitting across. He always likes to hit across the goalkeeper. Here he goes, he fakes it, comes inside, hits with his weaker foot, hits the post, but don't think should be finishing that goal there. Again, on the wide area, drifted into the midfield area, and then he's scoring again. Expected assist really high, as I said before. Shot creation actions higher than Lookman, higher than Rafinha. Passes into the penalty area, he does that. Here he gets to the byline, he's able to cut across, Brennan Johnson style. Nice weight of cross. The thing I've noticed about his crosses, he's got a good whip on his cross, and sometimes what he does, he hangs it to the back post for a player to reach on. I've seen him do it with Haaland at City. He likes to do those type of crosses where he hangs it up. The reason why I'm showing so much footage from the Liga as well is to show what he was capable of doing on the left-hand side. So I think where he will be deployed, being that some replacement. But he's slightly different. He's a traditional winger, going on the outside, getting down to the byline. He's able to hit that ball across to the box. Here he is again, going on the outside, a little through ball, and there's a nice little finish there. Here he is picking his head up. He always runs directly with his heads up, slows it down, speeds it up, and then he's able to link play and find those goals. Those are his dribbles. Progressive carries really high. Look at his skill here. He slows it down and he puts it through the player's leg. Here he is, tight spaces, gets out his feet, drives down that line. He does it more than one occasion, and he uses his other foot as well to beat players at times. He's able to use his right foot. So it's not he's just left foot dominant. He's able to use his right foot to chop, come inside and get into players. Here he's going into the midfield, linking play, dribbling past 1 or 2 players, and then finding that final action. Here he is through the centre, driving that player's first touch, beats a man, gets onto his favourite foot, and then he's away. So that's something I really noticed as well. He's able to get that first touch out of his feet, then beats play. The first touch, and some players, they need 2 or 3 touches before they get it under. He gets it under 1 touch and is able to quickly use that momentum and change direction and get up the pitch really quickly. Again, goes one way, uses a body feint, drops the shoulder, and he's able to get away. First touch gone. This player, for me, is transformative. You don't have many wingers that can operate centrally or on the wing, get their first touch, and then be facing their player and stand them up. And here he is again. You can just see, he can think left, right. You don't know which way he's going to go. His passing as well, decent. Through balls, not bad. I think he can improve on them. But here he is, finding that player in the midfield. Here he is, gets his head up, through ball into the box. Another great action. Here he is, again, finding the ball over the top into a dangerous area. Picks the ball up in midfield, starts the attack, takes off the fullback, and he's able to pick up that pass. Circled him here again in that fullback position, but he's able to find that through ball once again, guys. So, yeah, man, a player I think can do a lot of damage if we do get him, guys. On that left hand side, we could definitely utilize him, in my opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to bring him up, man.
Give you that. See, you've just convinced me we're signing Messi regen, mate. Rafinha back at his
Rafinha, I like though. That for me,
that's what I mean.
I could just see Rafinha, younger Rafinha. You know what's funny? Because I looked at Rafinha's stats when he first came to Leeds, and then I looked at it before he was at Leeds as well. Because this guy, he's 21 in April. He turned 21 in April, I think. But when he was coming through, when I did that video, he was 20 years old. So he's a similar age to what Bergvall is, to what Tell is, to what Odegaard is. But look at the damage he was doing. Look at the quality. Look at the level already. Do you understand? I think Rafinha was at Stade de Rennes at France. That's where he came from. But he wasn't putting up the assist numbers that this kid was putting up. So obviously, Pep's come out and he's said in the Club World Cup, I don't want to really get rid of this guy because I think his potential is high. He just needs to work on his finishing. If he works on his finishing, he'll become world class. But as I said before, with my man, what's their winger called? Doku, yeah. On the right wing, he was stinking it up. So he had to move him. He had to move Savinho to the right and put Doku on the left. Equally, like I said before, Pep Linders, he's their coach. So he's their new tactical coach. And he does all the pressing. So he does the Gurgen press. He did it for Klopp. And he said to the players, look, a lot of you players, you're not going to get as much time as you would like because I need to do rotations. Because if you do this much pressing, you see what happened with Ange's Spurs. Look how they broke down. We need to be rotating. And this kid wants to be in the World Cup. He wants to play like many games for Brazil. And he wants to get irregular time. He knows at Spurs, he'll be the main starter. At Man City, he may be one of many. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's the reason why there's a possibility. Yeah, World Cup year. There's a possibility. It might, I don't know. It could happen. But what do you guys think, man? Realistic or pipe dream? What?
Part of me, obviously, there was a saying this week, I think Ornstein put it out. He won't stand in a way of a player who wants to leave. I think that is a telling point. World Cup this year, a lot of players want to be playing as much as possible. As you said, Man City's such a stacked team. They've just got Ryan Shirky, they got Doku, they got Foden. All of these players are competing to play on the national front. You look at Spurs and you go, I could go into that team. I could be there week in, week out. I could be improving my game. I could be working with a manager that maybe can spend a bit more time with me to get focused. Obviously, we know Justin Cochran is so good with youth players as well in that extra sense of putting that bit extra into development. For me, he's exactly what we need as long as he can work on that final bit of his game, which is his end product. And obviously I see a comment in here saying he's so one-footed. There's not many players that are ambidextrous on both feet and can do it all off of 1 foot. This kid's 21. He's putting up the levels at City, and yeah, he's got an absolute freak of a machine playing up front at City. It's one of these things. If he comes in, we are taking a risk. But if you're building a squad around him, I think we all see the miss against Bayern Munich from Tell. Not Bayern Munich, against Newcastle. These are things that, as a club, we need to work on these younger players. But for me, the experience has to come in alongside it. And it has to be starting players that build on this squad. Not just we bring them in and hope in 2-3 years' time they're going to be doing something special for us. We need it now.
Yeah.
I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 on Savinho. I'm honest with you. When he was at Girona, I thought he was an unbelievable football player. Watching him play, he was just what a talent, what a player, what a baller, what a dribbler. Thinking, please God, Spurs get him. Then he went to Man City because he's part of the City group. And then there was a drop off in terms of goals, assists. I'm not saying the player's no good. There was a drop off, and part of me was thinking, is it because it's the Premier League? Is it because Man City had a bad season? Is it because you play more on the other wing? You know, what's the reason behind it? Another player who reminds me of that was Anthony at Ajax. Anthony was outrageous, and I remember having a chat with Danny Kay, saying, "I'd love Anthony at Spurs." He goes, "Yeah." And then you look at Anthony at Man United first season drop off. Why was that? Is it because Man United weren't good? Is it because he wasn't played in the right position? Is it because the Premier League? If we get the Savinho of Girona, we'll have one of the best wingers in the league. We'll have one of the best players in the league. If we get the Savinho from last season, I don't know. But what I will say is this: whether it's the Savinho from Girona or the Savinho from last season, it will still be better than what we've got. So I'm all for it. It will still be better than what I'm seeing right now from Johnson's, Odeberts, and Tells and all this stuff.
And I think, going on what Stel's saying, I think because if you look at someone like Anthony, I always think when a player like that goes into a club and it's quite poisonous within it, most players won't shine. There'll be a few, but they won't. You look at McTominay, what he done at Napoli, then winning that. You look at Anthony when he went. Sancho, as soon as he went to Dortmund, he was okay, but as soon as he come back to Chelsea, England's just not the place for Sancho. The same could be Savinho. This league just might not be for him, but we won't know that. But we've got to in this situation, because the situation where we're at, I think we've got to take the risk because we just need a player in that position. Because at the present moment, unless Tell gets his finishing boots on, he's just going to be a complete waste of time.
Marlon, You see, Odebert plus Tell is 65 million, right?
Yep.
I'd rather we spend that money taking a punt on Savinho than on these Odeberts and Tells, who for me probably won't come good for us. But maybe Odebert. I don't think Tell will come.
But if Savinho comes in, that's the club agreeing with exactly what you just said. They agree that those two players are going to not become anything, and they're going to be bench players, and then they're going to bring in him to fill the void. And going back to what you said about Thomas Frank's comments earlier, the club, I think, is after being here for a few weeks now, he might have just said, look, Frank might have said yes to Tell at the time because that's what he was being offered, and he was like, you know what, just get players through the door, whatnot. But now he's had a serious look at it. He's probably thinking, actually, probably shouldn't have said yes.
One thing we can say though, the difference.
He's thinking if you don't sign quality, I'm getting sacked by December.
But I just want to bring it back in. One thing I will say is that this guy has played at Man City, and it's not like he hasn't created. It's different because Anthony came in and he stunk it up. Sancho came in. What did he create? Do you know what I'm saying? As a wide player, you need to create, in my opinion.
But Savinho, the last 6 months, he hasn't.
His creation and passing was good.
Exactly. The creation and passing was good. And even his ability to take his player on.
But Ash, we're crying out for goals and assists. We're crying out for
you got to remember, he was also setting up Haaland, of all people. So you're expecting a bit more of an output no matter who it is. And I think that's the question marks that we all have, because it's not like he was set. Get what I'm saying? If it was anyone else, when you look at Manchester United, you'll go, Anthony and that lot, who the hell were they setting up? If you're setting up Hoyland or something, you're going, okay, but you've probably got the one player in the league that no matter what you do for him, he's going to pull it in the back of the net. So there's kind of no excuses at City. Even for Grealish, there's no excuses when you are setting up Haaland.
Yeah, I hear that. But the point I'm making is, Son, bless his heart, legend of the club. I felt like on that wing, he wasn't effective in terms of taking his man on, going down the line, creating something. And I know what you're saying in terms of sticking across into a box and maybe a Solanke maybe not finishing. At least with Savinho, if he makes a run and he takes a player on, that opens up a space for another player, for example, Kudos, or another midfielder that might be breaking into the box to get onto the end of stuff. There's times when we've had not been able to look after the ball, not been able to hold on to possession and get the ball up the pitch to create that momentum. because for me, football's all about momentum. And if you don't have players that can hold on to the ball and it keeps coming back onto you, and you've got no creativity outlet, meaning that player can bring the ball up 30 or 40 yards, that makes a big difference to me in terms of, because I hear what your guys are saying in terms of like, if he's thrown a cross into the box and you've got Solanke, he may not finish it, or Tell might not finish it, then what's the point? But for me, it's not just about throwing crosses into the box. It's about his ability to look after the ball. It's about his ability to hold on to possession. It's about his ability to take his man on, and he can do those things for me.
I think
that's an improvement on what we got.
I think it goes back to what Stell said though. Like if you bring Savinho in and you see exactly all the attributes that you're talking about, and the players are not finishing it, you then have to go and go, okay, we've got the players that are doing the business. Solanke and Richarlison, I've got a feeling if Savinho comes, Richarlison stays, by the way, just for that Brazilian connection. But
can I make a point as well?
God help us.
But I think what the thing is, you have to then make the impact in the summer window next year to go get rid of Solanke, get rid of Richarlison, and go and get someone who's gonna hopefully get Kudos and Savinho and whoever that number 10 may, if it is Eze, that are gonna be clinical and making sure that they're, getting their chances. But it depends, innit? Because Solanke could turn out to be all right with all these.
I just want to make the point. Andrew's system was set up to feed Brennan Johnson over any player.
I think so as well. I agree with that.
I think don't get me wrong.
Just go on pre-season though. Just go on pre-season.
Solanke should be more clinical and doing what he's doing. I remember, I'm trying to think of what game it was. There was one game we switched up the tactics, and all of a sudden we started putting crosses into the box, into the central area of the box, instead of darting to the line and getting the ball to back post, where Johnson, he scored a lot of goals, and people underrate that. And you can say he's this, he's that. He scored goals last season. Regardless, if you was to sit there and look at his stats, you'd say he's probably had one of the best seasons of his life. But I think it's unfair to judge Solanke completely. I think he knows he's got to do better. If he's still struggling come January, then you say, look, we go buy a new striker. As for Richie, we keep him and he seems like he's fit. First game of the season, that geezer's picking up a knock. Shift him out sharpish. But again, we've got to be realistic in managing our expectations as Spurs fans of what's going to be realistic. If we bring in four starting players in Paulinho, Kudus, Savinho, and Eze, you don't try and ask for too much. And obviously, we should start being realistic.
It's more not more this season. It's more into next season because Solanke.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
We've got to give Solanke that chance.
You start looking at that, and then you can bring.
I think a lot of people haven't forgiven Solanke for that pass in the final where I don't know what he was doing, but he
nearly took Vicario out as
well. Quickly before Ash comes back and he starts talking about other players, let's talk about the final tomorrow so I can let you guys go. What are your realistic expectations tomorrow? Because obviously Paris Saint-Germain haven't even had a game. They probably had one behind closed doors, but they haven't really played a game. We've had a whole month of pre-season. But I'm going to sit there and say the victory against Arsenal was nice and all, but have we actually played well in pre-season?
Nah. Lacking the creative player. And I think tomorrow that looks worse. I think we definitely see Odebert maybe in the 10 or Kudus in the 10. But again, you look at sort of the surroundings of the game. Donnarumma has just come out and absolutely ridiculed PSG. His agent's doing the groundwork. He's got players coming out supporting his decision that he's doing this. You've got the Hakimi stuff that's resurfaced. They're a team that could be a bit rocky, and obviously getting absolutely pummeled by Chelsea could either be a blessing or an absolute disaster for us. They've not got a great record against English teams. I think Aston Villa have shown if you go on the front foot against them, you can cause problems. Again, it's what Tottenham's going to turn up. So for me, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, we're going to go and win it, I could see a heavy loss coming if they're up for it.
To be fair, they were the only team that could knock out the English teams last year in the Champions League. If it wasn't for them, I always said this, if it wasn't for Paris Saint-Germain, I reckon we'd have had an English team in the final. Because that's how strong the Premier League is. That is why we had two teams in the Europa League final. I think people because they knocked out, I think they had Liverpool, champions of England, they knocked out. Then they knocked out Aston Villa. Yes, Aston Villa gave them a game at Villa Park, but the tie was already kind of done. And then they went and knocked out Arsenal, who Arsenal said they were the better team over the two legs.
Yeah. I know, I get that side of things, but then on the flip side, you're talking about arguably one of the most entertaining teams to watch in the world as well. In them, so
They are so good.
as I said,
And they
we
just
could.
Inter Milan in the final.
That's what I mean. We could go through and play off their rust and sort of give them a good game through rust. It's so hard to call because again, it depends what Tottenham turn up. And Frank showed against Arsenal he can play the counter attack, and we should have scored 3-4 goals against Arsenal in the first half. Second half, they should have scored 5 or 6. It's gonna be interesting. Obviously, for me, I'd love to win it. I'd love us to bring in these 2 new signings. I'm not holding my breath on anything.
Stel, what are you thinking tomorrow? Now you've had another extra day to think about it.
Yeah, PSG to win it. Anything's possible. Spurs can win it. If we stink it out, defend for our lives, 0-0, or somehow sneak a 1-1 and go to penalties, anything's possible. So I'm not saying
we can't.
It's impossible for Spurs to win, but the reality is even a PSG team that's not quite at it, what have we got? We've got a midfield that can't control a game of football. We've got a massive lack of creativity, and we don't have anyone to put that ball in the back of the net. So I've not been impressed by Spurs pre-season. We look more organised defensively.
Yeah,
we look like there's more shape.
But that's going to take time, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, Frank needs a year. I said he's going to need a year just to cement his way and understand his players, and hopefully get some players in that he can work with to build his way of playing. But
you want everyone to hold Frank up against the same pedestal they held Ange up, yeah?
I will. Listen, I absolutely will. Mate, look, I gave Ange a year. When Ange first came, I said, look, he's just lost Harry Kane. We haven't signed the replacement for Kane. He's up against it.
Yeah, and it's like history repeating itself because it's just lost Son. I know he's probably got more known to it. He was going to lose Son, but he's lost the X factor that we haven't got anymore.
Yeah, but the argument was, but Ange has never had Kane. All right, well, Frank's never had Son and Maddison then. So, listen, if I want to go down that road, I can, but I'm not going to. For me, when we beat Arsenal, I said, I was on Ben and Sim's channel, and I went on there and I said, look, I'm not excited by it, but I'm not angry. I'm not going to get hyped up over one result pre-season, because how many times we've been here before? I said, calm down, relax, all the usual, you're negative, you're toxic. Okay, then the week later, 1-1 Newcastle, banged up by Bayern Munich, the mood died, and that was the point I was trying to make.
The Newcastle was terrible. Like, I don't think people realise how Newcastle had a bad pre-season, and to actually draw against them and be outplayed by them was not great.
I've seen nothing special from Spurs under Frank so far, but he's had 4 games?
4 games.
I'm not expecting to see much. I'm not expecting to see much. I'll judge Frank after the first 10 games, after Christmas, and at the end of the season. They're my 3 markers I did with every manager. Let's see how we're going. But I think the chances of us taking it to penalties, I think, are very low, because we just don't have enough going forward. And I don't know if we could just sit there and defend for our lives. We tried to do that against Bayern. We got pumped.
Yeah, but he didn't put Dancer on though, did he? Did he put Dancer on at some point?
Kev.
Is that why? Is it because no Dancer, right?
Danzo's a man, mate. Danzo seems to be... Actually, I've been quite impressed with Danzo in pre-season, and I don't know why. He seems to be reacting to Frank's tactics better than what Romero and Van Ven are at the moment. Just what I've seen. I could be completely wrong, but that's what... At the moment, he's been the most impressive. I'm not saying start him. I'm just
no. Do you know what? He seems on it. He seems on it. He does. And even some of the comments he's been making, I want to be like Ledley King, legend of the club, and all that. All right, I don't really buy into these comments when anyone talks like that.
Of course, you got to wait till the league starts, and it's that Burnley game.
Like, show me, Danzo. Show me this season. But Marlon, we just don't have enough about us going forward at all in this game, and that's why. That's why I don't see us beating the best team in world football, our PSG. They're number 1.
We have to, if we're going to do it, the only way I think we're going to do it is if we do exactly what we did to Arsenal and we did to Man United in the final. And we literally played on the counter-attack and we barely had any shots, anything. They literally just couldn't score.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
we'll see. Guys, thanks for coming on, both of you. Jay, do you want to let people know about the protest and what's happening and where you're going to be for the rest of the week and what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we've got numerous pods we're on. I'm still trying to catch up with it a little bit because of work. I've been so busy. But yeah, obviously ahead of Saturday, as I said, we will be reactive to what happens because obviously the one thing we are pushing for is just investment into the squad. We don't want to see Frank getting the blame because I tell you what, I know it will happen. Frank will get the blame for how this squad performs, especially very, very, very early. So we're going to be there, obviously, on Saturday. Details have gone out. One thing we encourage people to do, if it does go ahead, come and say hello. If you don't want to protest with us, you haven't got to. We're trying to do this for the right reasons instead of pushing negativity on the club. Obviously, the second we start seeing what fans want and what we get asked to do, you've got to remember a lot of this that we do is driven purely on the messages we get. Me, Billy, we all get a lot of messages saying, oh, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? And we've tried to bide our time, especially through the summer, and going, do you know what? It could change. It could change. It could change. We come into the season this week with 2 starting players that we signed. For a team that's competing on Europe's biggest stage, is not acceptable. I think many of us agree. More information will go out on the Change for Tottenham socials. Just if you've got any questions, feel free to come directly to me on Twitter. I'll try to reply when I'm not losing my head. And the other thing I wanted to say is, Marley, I was correct about Son.
You can have that. Stel, Spurs live, Tottenham away. What you got going on for the next week? And a big thank you for coming on. I've missed streaming with you.
He froze.
Oh, is he froze? Oh yeah,
I
he
think
has
he's
froze.
froze for me.
Oh Jesus, he's frozen. Completely frozen. It might be his headphones as well. Oh no, there he's back. He's back.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
So
I'm still here.
Yes.
What are
speeding.
we talking about? I haven't frozen.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you, Marlon. Appreciate that. Tottenham away at the moment's on hold until we find Will Stewart, who has the back end access to the channel. Because when Tottenham Away rebooted, we rebooted on his channel, then we converted his channel to the Tottenham Away 2.0, but we never managed to get the back end bit sorted out. And listen, he's missing in action until we find him Tottenham Away stuck. So I'm on the Spurs 5, so you can watch me there on Mondays and Thursdays. And to people that say things like Son, he's past his sell-by date, he's washed out and all that. Yeah, he's not the son of old, but he got 24 goals and assists combined last season. So the delusion is insane. We've lost 24 goals and assists. But hey, it's okay. Just don't worry about it. It's all right.
No, we've lost one of our biggest club legends as well. I think the honesty comes into that. I got ridiculed last season because I called out a performance, and I was massively wrong because I think he went on to score 2, literally just after I'd done it. But no, obviously Stelios, absolute pleasure, mate, as always.
Yes, and big up to Change for Tottenham for keeping the gas firmly pushed down on the accelerator to force some change at this club. Long overdue that more and more fans are getting on board, and the boys, Billy, Jay, they've managed to get it more organised. So let's see how we go. Hopefully, we won't have to protest because the club have done the things that we have asked. But if they don't, we've got to do what we've got to do.
This is it.
Yeah. Quickly, a big thank you to Christian A for the super chat earlier. Great show, Spurs Kings raid from Sava. Again, Sava, thank you very much. And Stel as well, involved in the raid earlier on. Thank you so much. Also, Paulinia French becoming a member. Big up. Thank you so much. And then a big regular of the channel, C-Max. Big up to you too. Also, we hit 4,000 again while we were doing the stream. So a big thank you to everyone that subscribed and comment. And as Ash will always say, because he's not here right now, please make sure you tell a friend about Spurs Kings TV. We are here every Tuesday without fail. There is no rival show tomorrow because me and Ash are doing We Are Tottenham TV for the watch along tomorrow. So that will be back next week. And I'm on holiday now, so I won't be back next Tuesday. It'll be Ash, and he will have other guests on as well. But big up to Jay, big up to Stel, and as always, come on, you Spurs.